the way to go. All right. Ooh, I forgot to just a second. Let's see. Okay, we got viewers waiting. Right, we're live. All right, welcome back to Odys Talks, everyone. This show is brought to you by Odys Global, your one-stop shop marketplace
Yay.
for age domains, websites. I forgot to turn on the banners. Here it is. Uh, as well as several additional services, including 301 redirects, topic clusters, EAT audit, website hosting. You can as well buy domains and websites from us in installments in case you've spotted something you really like and think solves your business needs, but don't want to for some reason or can't pay it in full at the moment. You can now do it in parts. We've also launched just recently, and we're going to tackle this today, our due diligence as a service feature. So right now, we will vet domains and websites for you, even if they're not listed on our marketplace. So yeah, I'll let Alex talk about it more a bit later. But for now on, I'm joined today by three great people, three great specialists. It's Chris Judges. Did I pronounce it right this time?
Nailed it, man. Nailed it. No, it's
Awesome.
Chris Gigas, but don't feel
Judges.
bad. I've
Okay.
had two people my whole life be able to say it right that didn't really know didn't
Okay.
know me.
So Chris from SirLinksalot, Patrick Rice, private SEO consultant, founder of Patrick Rice Co., and founder and CEO of Odys Global, Alex Drew. All right, guys. So why don't you go on and introduce yourselves? Just add anything you want to add about yourselves, and we'll hit it from there. Chris.
Yeah, so I'm Chris Gigas. Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders over at SirLinksalot.co. We're a link building agency, which you can probably tell by the name. Guest post link insertions, a bunch of kind of foundational stuff. And we also have a YouTube channel and a private Facebook group where we kind of post a bunch of stuff regularly, daily, kind of preaching best practices and just helping people kind of get guided along the path of sustainable SEO for long-term growth, even if you're kind of bending the rules a little bit. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much what I spend most of my time doing.
Awesome. Patrick.
I have a question for Chris. Not sure if this was tackled before, but really quick because he was very humble and just took 15 seconds to introduce himself. I'm a big fan of the SirLinksalot brand name because apparently it's not it doesn't look pronounceable, but it's very pronounceable, and it's not meant to stick, but it does stick. So how did you come up with the brand name?
We get asked this like somewhat often, and we're not completely sure of the backstory, but my memory of it is that Nick came to me, my co-founder came to me one day.
On the show as well.
Cool guy. And yeah, I think he came to me with a short list of maybe 4 domain names, and I saw SirLinksalot, and I was like, this is the one. Like we choose this one because I'm immature and kind of like fantasy stuff, video game related stuff, and just kind of went from there.
But I think most SEOs are, so that's probably why it works.
Yeah, that was our hope, right? That it would kind of resonate with some other nerds out there, right?
Yeah. I feel like the average SEO guy is probably a little nerdy as well. I know a lot of myself included, and a lot of my mentors. I've always liked the brand name too, and the branding as well in general with the 8-bit characters and that whole nostalgic video game aesthetic.
Yeah, it took a while to develop it, but yeah, it started with the 8-bit, and we used to kind of lean more into the 8-bit stuff, but then we kind of lean a little bit more into like a little builder direction as well. So it's like a mix of like an 8-bit video game with kind of like some kind of construction going on, being a link building agency. But yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Awesome.
It's a fun brand, man. And I'm Patrick Rice, as Vlad said, and I've been doing SEO for about half a decade. I have a lot of e-commerce SEO case studies under my belt. We're recently did a major hire in building out the consultancy to be more of a sort of agency. So we're taking on a lot of different clients, but e-commerce is our bread and butter. So we have a lot of case studies there, growing revenue by like hundreds of %. So that's kind of what I'm known for. I also started out as a link builder, which is why I know of Chris and SirLinksalot. So I used to have a link building agency. And then I kind of moved out of that domain, but still do link building for some of my friends and for all of my clients.
Yeah, and you're the OG SEO wonder boy from now on.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
so-
is that? What is that? Explain it. Come on.
No, he just made it up.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I am the SEO wonder boy from now on. From this day forward, I gotta see it. 1 second, I'm gonna check if the domain's available. we gotta grab it.
A little backstory for that. Well, so I've seen Patrick online like last year several times. I've seen him on the Aspirant CMO podcast that I've also been a guest on, and well, we've met in Chiang Mai several times in the elevator.
Only in the elevator.
Yeah, and these were basically the only times we had like dialogues, you know. So we ended up like calling each other like, "Hey there, elevator friend," or something like that.
Yeah.
This time
we were elevator friends.
Yeah, and
I
this
made
time
some
when I was
bathroom
crazy.
friends. I made people that I would like see in the bathroom. Like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
So yeah,
this time
maybe
I was
elevator
like-
friend, not so bad.
And this time I was like, well, I really like coming up with some like fun things when writing the descriptions for the episodes. And I was like, well, elevator friend is good, but no one will understand it unless I'll explain it. But I mean, SEO Wonder Boy sounds great, and it fits Patrick well, like perfectly. Like, there you go.
And you'd compete with Stewards from who calls
Yeah,
himself
SEO
the SEO
Jesus.
Jesus, and I'm not sure which one is a better name.
I'm gonna have to go with SEO Jesus. It's epic.
SEO
Like,
Jesus
Stuart-
is bad.
No, you have to
Yeah,
give it a
just-
chance. He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
You know, give Patrick a chance to
Yeah,
build
I'm
up his
actually
brand.
just
Okay.
yeah, give me a while, Chris. Chill. But no, I actually just talked to SEO Jesus on not really a podcast, but just on my YouTube channel. And no, I love Stuart. I met him in
He's
Chiang Mai.
great.
We've been chatting a lot. It's some good stuff. So shouts
Yeah,
out
he's a
SEO
good guy
Jesus
too.
for sure.
Yeah, by the way, he's one of our mentors, and you can go to the Odys Global/mentors link. It's also there in the description, and check out on all of our mentors. We got quite a few big names there, all of them, to be fair. So yeah, and he's one of our mentors. All right, let's get back to introductions. Alex.
Right, so I've been a couple of times on the show. I run things at Odys Global. That's probably enough for the time being. Been a fan of everything SEO, online businesses, digital marketing for more than, I think it's around 17 years already. So it's quite a bit of time, but I wouldn't want to talk much about the past as I would about the future. And by the way, Patrick mentioned two things which I've taken notes of and I wanted to address today. First of all is, well, everyone claims they don't have regrets. I have one, more of a joke, and that is not launching a link building agency earlier. Like, I've stayed out of the business. I thought like 10 years ago, I was like, no way, Google's going to figure out a different thing, you know, they're going to replace links. There is no future in this business. Every single damn year, the industry keeps growing. Now, I think I don't have a Facebook friend that doesn't have a link building agency. That's one thing. And the second thing, which Patrick mentioned, I'm curious to pick his brain, is specifically how did his e-commerce clients react to the recent Google update? That's an interesting one, because what we're seeing is mostly in the content websites as an industry, you know, as a business model. Like our brick and mortar clients, or everyone that we've been actively working using aftermarket domains to build up strategy and other means just to generate more growth for them, they haven't really been affected much. So I'm curious what happens on the e-commerce side for your clients, because what we're seeing is completely different from what happens, the absolute, you know, damage and that happens in the content websites business. Now,
Right.
those are that's a special world. Like, that's a completely different world.
Yeah.
It is
All
a
right,
special world.
You want to
And-
answer that now?
Yeah. The answer is really short. It's that none of my clients have been affected. And I think that's because of brand, is that I work mostly with e-commerce companies with a proper brand. And so even we use a lot of human written content, but even on cases with websites where the client wanted to go with AI content, they're still good. And I think this is just because for any AI content we do human review. We edit it with multiple AIs, and we do a whole process. And then mainly that they have branded searches for their brand. They have a brand entity. And I think Google is starting to look more at this kind of stuff. With so much AI out, it's like, as long as you have a good user experience and you have a solid brand behind the content, that's my kind of so far speculation on what it takes to not get hit at all.
Yeah, that resounds with what Jamie IF was saying on one of the recent episodes, like branded search is going to matter more. Yeah, really. All right. One little thing.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, that explains it.
One little thing before we get further.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Couldn't go without it. Yeah, all right. Since we've already started, well, there's already a question from a listener on LinkedIn, a viewer on LinkedIn. I don't know. Let's just get started with it. So Edward Ruppel is asking, I'm a bit stuck here. I live in Germany, but I'm not really sure if I should target the German or the USA market. In Germany, still, so many business owners are so conservative when it comes to rank and rent online marketing. But going after clients in the USA from Germany might be as well a stretch. So yeah, this is the question. So what are your views on these statements, and what would you advise Edward to do? I don't know.
Chris?
I mean,
I have no clue.
Why can't you target the US market from Germany? Just buy a .com domain, pump some, links from like English websites into it, and just go from there. Maybe I don't understand the question correctly, or maybe I missed a part of it, but yeah, you don't need to be in the US to target US market. People do that all over the world. You always want to target the markets that have a higher consumer demand, and US is a huge country with a huge population, and a lot of people like to spend money. So yeah, you don't need a specific TLD or anything. You just get a .com or whatever. SirLinksalot.co, and which is technically a Colombian domain, but I mean, the extreme majority of our traffic is US based, so yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great answer. Oh, I have no answer really, because I have no clue what the German market was. That's a way better answer, Chris, than I could give. I don't do rank and rent stuff, and I don't know the German market. But yeah, I think all I know is the US market, and what Chris said is true. You can target the US market if the German market isn't ready for rank and rent, that sort of thing.
I mean, the only thing I could kind of come back with to play devil's advocate to myself a little bit would be, I'm not really sure what the competition is like in Germany, but it's probably a bit easier than the US. So depending on like what your SEO skill level is, it might be easier to get started over in Germany. Just go from there, try to do some rank and rents over there, whatever you're doing. And then, once you kind of get the hang of things in a kind of lower competition space, then you can try to, maybe do some projects over in the USA.
And Chris, isn't rank and rent essentially selling leads, or it's like selling monthly access to your website and your leads, right?
People do it a bunch of like weird ways, and especially now with like Jackie Cho, now that he's becoming more public, he does stuff that he calls rank and rent, where he's essentially ranking a single page with a listicle on it of like best whatever companies in this location, and he'll charge people like per like spot on the page, and he calls that rank and rent. Or you could rank the entire website, and then just you can actually like rent the website to them, which I don't think people really do. I think what most people do is they rent the website, and then they put all the contact forms and stuff and the phone numbers to send over, and they just do call tracking and track all the leads that are sent over to whoever they strike up a deal with.
And maybe that'd be a good answer to him too, is that I imagine in Germany they're still chill with buying leads, because people always do that. Like if you have a lead, and it's a good lead, almost anyone's going to buy it, right? Even if you could give it to them free. So start up the website. If you can getting leads, give someone a free lead, they'll be begging you for more, right? Like start up the conversation that way. Like, hey, I have leads from this website. Here's a free lead. If it's good, then come to me. I'll sell you them at like $50 a lead or whatever makes sense for your industry.
So start with an appetizer.
Yeah. You could try that. I don't do it, so I can't say for sure. But in my
More like a
sales
drug dealer,
experience,
you know?
I think
Get them
A little
hooked,
bit
like,
like
hey man, you like that?
all
A
sales.
little bit more.
Yeah, but it's win-win for
Yeah,
both
yeah.
parties, so not exactly drug dealing.
That's true, Alex. Yeah.
I have an opinion on this one. I think the question itself and the assumption is wrong. So the question is basically, Germans are conservative, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, the majority, and that they aren't a big fan of the, let's say, rank and rent or whatever lead generation method we can use, we can work on as digital marketers. So that's true, because for instance, we had back in the days, we wanted to we actively ranked local SEO clients in Denmark, and Danish people, like, I respect them a lot, but they wouldn't talk to us. So we actually found someone like Patrick who lived in Denmark, and he set up a company, and he would talk to the local businesses, and we would actually rank them, because you're obviously the salesman right there. So I understand the question from this perspective, and I think that there's a point to it. But as Chris said, there is absolutely no reason for not going into the US market. Like in US, they absolutely don't care if you're from Thailand, Germany, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, or Colombia, even now that Chris mentioned like .co. Like, they don't care as long as you can get them business. And as Chris said, like, there are plenty of methods with the rank and rent method. What I'd recommend is you should start a couple of sites. There are a couple of really good podcasts with James Dooley, who has hundreds of sites and they're doing the rank and rent model. And there are different, like, I've been chatting to him, and he said the way they do it is, as Patrick said, just he gets leads, and then he gives them away to companies and said, if you need more, you pay us. Like, check how they convert. And most of them come back for more. And he's like, pay whatever you think that they value, they're worth. Sorry. So this is a good approach. To be honest, if you're doing it the SEO way, you just create sites, rank them, either listicles or just, this also happened in the gambling industry, where you would have like top brands, and then a brand would come and say, rank them number one, and we'll pay a monthly retainer. That's very popular. But if you just want to get traffic and your potential clients' attention through SERPs, then definitely just rank those sites first. So, and they don't even have to care where you're from, or if you move to Bali or Thailand or Germany, or it doesn't matter. Now, if you're promoting yourself it really depends on your marketing strategy, because you can just put great content out there, like go to events, do podcasts, put great content, and if you know what you're talking about and you're confident in the business model, people reach out to you, want to do business with you. So it really depends how you plan to attract those clients. But non-sane and online or business owner would mind where you're located, what are you doing, as long as you can make them more money.
True.
Yeah. Well, Edward says thank you.
You're welcome.
And
You're welcome.
yeah, thank you guys for such extensive answers. Actually, really, like that's like a small lecture on things. Really. Yeah, but let's get straight to the Google core update, right? So it rattled things up quite drastically, probably more emotionally than factually. But still, like, what are the most obvious trends, let's say, that are going on after that? I mean, what are you seeing in terms of traffic, in terms of penalties and bans and spam things, like if any of your sites got affected, how badly they got hit. Well, Patrick mentioned that your e-commerce sites weren't hit, but
Yeah. So
otherwise,
none of
like,
my
what's
none of
going on
my
there?
right, none of my clients were hit, but I do have a test site that was hit. That was like pure AI,
Hmm.
and with very little brand. So that's also where I'm kind of seeing, you know, if you're just posting a ton of AI and you have no brand entity, then that's going to be a little bit tough for you. That's just my intuition. But I'm curious, Chris, what is your experience with the update and your thoughts?
I haven't had anything hit, so maybe I'm not a good person to ask. But I feel like what I'm seeing for the most part, the people that are getting hit, I think you guys bring up a really good point, is the brand stuff. So like I'm seeing stuff that's getting hit, which is like AI content plus like they're monetized with affiliate, or AI content monetized with like ads. It's not stuff where they're getting like traffic diversification from like social media channels and stuff. There's To be completely honest, most of the stuff that I've seen hit deserved it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a Google fanboy, I'm a link builder, so I'm not just gonna sit here and say that they're perfect. And I've definitely seen some sites in there that didn't deserve to get hit, or people that claim they didn't use AI at all, getting caught in the crossfire. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on. I feel like it hasn't been long enough at this point to really give like a super good analysis, but yeah, no AI content sites hit on my end, even though I don't really do a ton of AI content, and the AI content I do is heavily edited for basically demonstrating first person experience. Make sure to use a lot of like personal pronouns, like I, us, we, stuff like that, and just really demonstrating like why I'm talking about this and why I should be listened to, rather than just the generic stuff that comes out of like ChatGPT and stuff like that. And I also have like an AI spam site kind of project, which is like insanely low effort. Like I'm talking like not even like images and stuff, just like blocks of text, and that thing didn't get hit at all. So I don't, it's still alive and kicking.
Maybe you just didn't get to it yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Google.
Maybe it's still flying under the radar because I'm not doing public case studies or like talking about how to like manipulate with AI content. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed.
Shouts out,
yeah.
Julian.
Yeah, RIP
Shouts out
Julian,
Julian
RIP
Goldie.
Jackie.
Exactly. Pour one out for the homies.
Yeah, it'll be fine though.
The update is still rolling. They said a month.
Yeah.
I'm still seeing reversals and comebacks, but
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you gentlemen checked the organic traffic report for SEMrush, but they have actually did some massive programmatic SEO. So if you have Ahrefs, you can type in SEMrush, and they've created like I think into the millions of pages of like competitor analysis, sort of like something similar to similarweb.com, what they did. So for every single major site on the web, they'll have like, they would rank for the website's naked URL, and then they would have like a comparison, top alternatives to. So programmatic SEO in its purest form, and it's all dupe content. Like the only keyword variable in there is basically the website's name and a couple of competitors. And how do they get away with this? Like most of the content, I think it's like programmatic SEO via AI generated these days. Like that's how it works. The second example is Wise.com, which is a finance company. And they have like all sort of really high level programmatic SEO as well. And most of it's not only AI generated, it's also dupe content, but it's useful to the user, like all sorts of bank Swift codes, transfers, it's useful to the user. That's the first thing. So as long as, so I need to wire some funds. I'm trying to figure out how to wire funds, how to make wire some funds to Chris in Thailand, for instance. And I have to figure out the rates, or I have to figure out the Swift code of Chris Bank. So I kind of find that information and it's useful. That's one thing. The second thing, which I think is absolutely critical, and that's why people who are in the business of just making money and not building a long-term business, they suffer and they get hit, maybe even undeserved, but as collateral damage. That's because there is no brand, as Patrick said. Like both SEMrush and Wise are huge on brand. In fact, I haven't checked, and I don't want to speculate on this, but I think most traffic comes from people searching for Wise, TransferWise, or SEMrush. Like these are some of the main keywords. And when your main keywords are in your brand, I think you automatically get tagged as potential spam or low quality website. So I think that most likely the problem itself is the business model. My claims will obviously, piss off some content marketers, but even those that got hit, like they didn't deserve, like they have handwritten all their content, and some of the travel bloggers, like they actually travel, but they got hit. Well, that's collateral damage. And that's like, getting picked up by police during a riot just because you were curious and you were just, checking what the rioters are doing. And then the riot police came and kind of got you with everyone else. And this is what happens with the content sites. Like if 90% of content sites as a business model are mass created just to make money and to take advantage of Google and the entire ecosystem that they created from their dominance in search, there is a very big chance you'll get hit. But from what I'm seeing, even with expired domains, like I'll be your psychotherapist on expired domains and age domains today, like none of the real businesses that we've 301 redirected to help growth, none have been affected. Absolutely no one.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on that front either. We do 301 redirects. We're selling some domains as well, and I haven't seen anything as far as that goes. But is that part been implemented yet? I don't even know, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
That was a part.
Yeah. So I think they mostly tackle very aggressive repurposing. So I had a call today with one of our clients, and he was asking me, what if we repurpose like a health site to a finance site? And I said, why would you even do that? So, and also I think they have a problem with aggressive gambling or even phishing sites that would create like really nasty stuff. But and I'll end up with this. The claim is very simple. So everyone reads the headlines, but the last sentence in the announcement was the following: it is okay, Google says, to use old domains for new websites, and they specifically say for new websites, which means it can be a completely new site, as long as, I think they said, the content or the purpose is to serve users first, which means it solves a problem, it answers a query, and there is some legitimacy behind the business, like with the e-commerce stuff or the real brick and mortar businesses. Like, I think Google is mostly worried about reputation, their reputation, of course, and having someone with skin in the game. What this means is there someone behind the business who would, you'd be able to actually reach out to and get a reply from in case you're reading some bad advice or something happened to your kid, your dog, your wife. You imagine like your Money Your Life sites, like that's advice that's very sensitive. And I don't think that Google likes just random advice from non-experts. I'm not saying they're doing a great job at separating, the bad sites from the good one, but at least this is what I'm seeing. So legitimate brands might not even put the best advice, but at least there's someone out there and they know they have that type of skin in the game.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, at least they have skin in the game. Yeah.
So
I think
go on, Patrick, go on.
Oh no, yeah, I just completely agree. I think that if you're Google and you have all of this AI content, all of this parasite SEO that is legitimately making the service worse for their users, the easiest solution is, rather than detecting AI itself, which is an extremely hard problem to solve, why not just worry way more on user experience and user experience signals to make sure that the user is satisfied, exactly what TikTok and everyone else is doing. And then second, making sure that even if it's AI, it's from somebody that's reputable and it's from a brand entity or at least a person, right? So I'm not the expert on entities and brand entities and all that stuff. Brian Cotto actually is. He has some great stuff on it. Yep. But like, it seems like they have a good understanding of brand entity and the people behind a website. And so if there's nothing there and it's literally just some SEO that wants to remain hidden and there's zero brand, zero person behind the website that's identifiable, I think that's just going to be a negative signal where they're like, okay, there's a ton of content, they probably all are doing something with the number of pages. So like if you're posting 1,000 pages in a month, like that might be a signal as well. So we don't know much right now, but I completely agree. I think user experience and brand is probably what they're moving towards.
I think those are all really good ideas. Like as far as like domains go and what they're trying to do, like, I get it. I think we all get it at this point. People are buying domains up and just doing crazy shit with them. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but, we're talking like super like non-relevant, or like you brought up the example, Alex, of, phishing website and then throwing up gambling content on it, right? And it's some faceless company, no EAT, no like brand or anything. And so they're essentially just taking this super shortcut to try to like, basically bottom feed some quick cash off the internet before they can get slammed, right? So yeah, I could see them like coming after like relevance in like conjunction with like low EAT, or like maybe like monetization methods as well. Like if it's something they consider like bad neighborhood, or like aggressive, like payday loans or something, or even just like if they're monetized with like only affiliate or like only ads or something like that, and these kind of things like working together, they could try to really kind of cut down that way. But yeah, I just haven't really seen too much on my end, but I guess I don't have too many sites that are doing stuff just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Go on, guys. Don't be shy. Whoever was first.
Yeah, Patrick, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I don't really have much either. The one site that I got, I didn't really get hit because I didn't get de-indexed or anything. It's just that my rankings decreased, and it was for a very small website. I mean, website's getting like 1,000 organic per month, just where I mess around. So I just do anything I want to that website, and it's never gotten any decreases. But it did get the SERP tracker. I use SERP Robot, and it did go down. And I assume just because of AI content with zero brand.
I was on Castra's podcast last week on Friday, and he said that sometimes in the gambling industry, bigger brands would acquire smaller size, which don't have EAT and don't have a lot of, let's say, brand equity, and aren't a specific brand. And what they would do, they would basically slap all their branding. Let's say Bet365 would slap all their branding on that site that were acquired, and they were able to stabilize, make traffic more stable. Basically, now there is an actual brand, there is an actual company with a phone number in UK that you can call, and that helps a lot. And they say, like, smaller affiliates, they cannot survive these updates, and that's why the bigger player come and they simply, now everything is branded with Bet365, and they solve the problem. So I do think that it's a matter of skin in the game more and more, and that what we're seeing and what everyone on Twitter is reporting, that only bigger brands rank. And my kind of assumption and theory is that Google doesn't even really mind the quality of the content, as long as the quality stuff is kind of divided between them as a platform who serves the content and the actual content providers. Like when you read a gibberish articles on Forbes, they kind of afford ranking them because their assumption is if they're Forbes, most likely they have an editorial team. Whereas if you're a smallish site, they don't know anything about you. So they kind of, I think, tweak the algos to go after smaller sites and favor the bigger one based on this very specific assumption. Well, now it's not only our reputation that gets hurt as Google, it's also on Forbes, it's also on Reddit, it's also on their moderators or whatever the biggest sites that are now used at Parasite's SEO. So this is what I think is the advantage that the bigger sites have. It's the brand, and I encourage everyone who are aimed at building, and growing empires in this online business world to pay more attention and to actually do the things that do not scale. And that is going on podcasts, sponsoring stuff, building the brand awareness, building their personal brand. That all matters because it creates signals that ordinary sites are never able to actually generate by doing the exact same thing, over and over again, because it's basically more content, regardless if back in the days it was spinning, now AI, or however it's written.
Yeah, or it's real,
really
like, a lot of people are not willing to fake, or they're not able to do the real things. They're not able to, I think Diggity said this, we're in the age of like, do all the things. And it sounds so stupid and simple, but like, if you just like go out there and you like try to like do the things that a normal business like would do, then you're going to do pretty well, and it's going to really like help you survive these updates, because when you do all the things that a normal business would do, then you start hitting these SEO hot topics of like, you know, be the brand, or you know, traffic diversity, or monetization diversity, or branded search. You know, all of these things happen when you just do all the things that a normal business owner would do, rather than having like a, you know, minimum effort kind of like low quality like bottom feeding like ad site. You know, it's just a completely different game. And I think it's pretty like, you know, I think it's pretty obvious like what direction Google's trying to move with the internet in general. They're trying to, you know, clean up a bit, especially now that people can just pump all this content out. So they've got their hands full. We'll see what they can actually do over time, but I guess they're trying. So you got to give them some credit for that, right? Kind of understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and speaking of pumping up the content, speaking of pumping out the content, so before we started this conversation, before we went live, Alex mentioned that the European Union just voted for some new legislation concerning AI stuff, whether it's images, videos aren't there yet, I think, or content. So, Alex, would you tell us a little bit more about what's going on there and how it's going to affect?
Yeah, just briefly. I've
Europe.
accidentally stumbled upon this piece of news on Twitter, right, like 5 minutes before the show, and I briefly read it. But it said, and there was a specific specific article within the law that said that developers and those who actually are involved in building AI stuff, they have to, moving forward, I'm not sure when it's actually going to
take force.
But they said they have to clearly mark videos, because you said it's not a thing, it's already a thing. It's already a thing. Yeah. So you can actually pre-record me, and then it will actually.
Yeah, that.
So
okay,
videos,
yeah.
especially deepfakes are a very big thing. So videos, images, I think it's also related to some forms of content that have to be marked like AI generated or generative AI. And the fines are huge. I've seen, depending on the revenue of the company, the fines could be in the millions of euros. So if you think Google hit you, that could even be like not the big picture. Now, if you have like
not the biggest problem
AI site, and AI is hallucinating and providing bad advice, and you just have a newborn, and these things are real, guys. So AI is hallucinating, you're having a newborn, and you're just reading some bad advice on the web and giving the newborn the wrong medication, and there is something horrible happens because they're trying to prevent, and this is just one scenario. So I think getting fined 1 million euro could be much worse than getting your rankings demoted a little bit, which will still lead to improvement if you want to keep moving forward. So lots of things happening with AI, not only Google. Like Google is just one part of the game. So everyone has to adapt accordingly and just study the laws, especially in the EU now.
Yeah, that seems kind of extreme. I don't know how that would fly in the US. You know, in the US, I don't think they can fine you for being wrong about something. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in Europe and how that, you know, legislation potentially affects us over here. But yeah, it's interesting for sure.
No, in Europe, they went when the privacy laws went into place. Some big corporation got fined. Then they were kind of relaxed on this matter. But that's the idea with Google, that it's really hard to find who's behind a website. That's why websites who don't have skin in the game, a brand, an address, a phone number, EAT and all that, they get demoted because it's really hard to say, and they can't risk, let me try to call, let me try to find who owns this website. It's very difficult even for Google, who's in the big data business. So they'd rather demote the sites and push up those that have a phone number, have the brand entity, show their face, have skin in the game. So that's most likely how it's going to go, as Chris said. That's how it's evolving.
Yeah, and it seems that more and more of these regulations are going to pop up further on. Because even today I've been listening to Joe Rogan Experience with Ray Kurzweil, who's the big proponent of all things AI and transhumanism, and they've been discussing the AI hallucinations in particular. They were particularly speaking about LLMs, So yeah, I think it's all moving towards more and more of regulations like this popping up in various countries, various regions. probably sometime in the next few years, US is going to come up with some regulations as well. Maybe they'll differ from those in Europe, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that means
Well, I think
step on the gas as hard as you can right now with the AI boys. You got to make that money before the
boys, we gotta go.
Go for it.
Get it
Well,
going, boys.
And considering most of SEOs are introverts, there ain't going to be like any demonstrations or stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
just like,
I see the
okay, we're
US
just going to go on Twitter.
I see the U.S. potentially doing something about it if it gets too bad, which I think it will. So I don't know now, but like, I mean, don't you think in the next 5 years, I mean, you're going to be spammed to death. You're going to be on Instagram or Facebook, and it's just going to be like AI content everywhere. You're just going to be like, I don't know if this would be something about Donald Trump. You're like, I have no clue if this is real. Like, when it gets to that point, the social media companies, actually maybe more than the government, will have to do something. They'll have to figure out something because it's just going to be so annoying for everyone on the internet. We're going to be like, okay, I can't trust anything.
I feel like we're already there. Like, I haven't trusted anything on the internet for like since I became a marketer. I haven't trusted a single thing I've seen on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, you trust yourself, though.
I was just on
Chris.
LinkedIn with a friend. Huh? Yeah.
Oh, well, I agree
I'll
because I don't either. But it's when it becomes normal. When it becomes normal people and not marketers. So your mom is like, "Oh, I see all this stuff on Facebook, and I don't trust any of it." You know.
Hey, how do you know my mom got a Texas accent like that? You're right, though. She does.
Of course.
But
mine
yeah,
too.
I was just on LinkedIn earlier with a friend, and they typed in like SEO just to see like the type of like content that was being posted in the SEO niche. Information about how to do different stuff in SEO. And I'm pretty sure like every single article I saw was AI generated with an AI generated thumbnail as well. It was like just a junk feed of just pure trash, no likes on anything. Just, I think we're there already. It's just a matter of filtering it out, I guess. I don't know what they're going to do, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They'll do something.
All right. Let's get back to expired domains and native domains. And I've been looking through the Google's article announcing the update, and I found it curious that expired domain abuse came right after site reputation abuse, and this seems like these two like go hand in hand because when you exploit expired domains badly, you basically exploit their reputation, right? That is, if they're like good expired domains. But yeah, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this episode, we at Odys have launched due diligence as a service. So Alex, I would ask you to give us a run through that and how it may help, like, not just affiliate marketers or SEOs, but brands, businesses, brick and mortar businesses in general.
Look, so 2 years ago, Odys was a shop, but then we said, let's expand because there's lots of awesome folks within our community and members that have a lot of good domains. And we've started accepting domains for sale, listing domains for sale. Now, we apply the exact same strict due diligence criteria. And even like if Google like announced that they do not tolerate repurposed sites or age domain or anything that have been aggressively repurposed, I hate to brag about it, but 2 years ago, we actually would not accept a domain unless if it was repurposed. So if you had a dance domain and suddenly you had like a casino site on it, would say, no, we won't list that for sale in our marketplace. And people will be pissed off. Why? Well, that was an attempted failed project, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We won't accept that. Well, if Patrick wants to buy a dance domain for their e-commerce client, like why would we sell Patrick a bad, repurposed domain? So that was a policy in our company from 2 years back. That's one thing. Now, the second thing is that if up until now, most SEOs or even corporations said like, well, we're going to just rebrand from TransferWise to Wise.com, and we do not care what was on Wise.com before we actually take over because we're so big and powerful. Well, guess what? These days, I'm not even sure because Wise.com, for instance, was a former domain owned by an antivirus company. So it wasn't completely related. It wasn't related. Like if you go to archive, you'll find it was owned by Norton Symantec, I think, and they developed like antivirus software for Windows. So it had no connection whatsoever to finance, TransferWise. So if back in the days that would be deemed as fine, and most likely today as well, some smaller players, startups, they may acquire like startup.com without knowing that it has been aggressively abused. So we thought like, why not offer what we have been doing for so many years as a service? So we're now trying to work with both individuals and corporations, trying to, just either sell this due diligence report or provide it on scale as a service, because we have access to lots of data. And I think that now there is some kind of point that you can make. There is a little bit of leverage that we can use when talking to people and say, look, historical records of a domain or site are important. Pay attention to that. There might be some nasty bad stuff that happened in the past and you just can't get away. Imagine, Patrick, you get a new e-commerce client and say, Patrick, we're going to launch like on standingdesksecommerce.com, for instance. And you say, well, that's a great idea, but let me check that domain for you. Or let me talk to Alex, or maybe you know how to do it yourself. And then you say, guys, like everything looks good, but I've seen something weird happening 2 years ago with this domain, and I found this in archive. And I also see a lot of spam links, and I'm not sure if you've seen that. Or maybe they're trying to buy the domain to launch their business, and now they can use that as leverage. Look, guys, like you're selling a spam to death domain. Like what happened here? In which case, it's totally fine to admit it was abused and then just disavow the links or make sure it gets indexed and all that. But I think the need for such a service kind of rised. We've already gotten some good feedback, and even someone asking if they can white label our service, which is totally fine. So I believe, even though it's not anyone's concern, especially Google, like what kind of business and what domain do you pick, they may kind of limit your visibility if you're building on a domain that has been heavily abused in the past. And sometimes people ignore email spam, for instance. So you can buy an H domain and just send mass spam everyone, and that will get into certain databases, and then you won't be able to inbox anyone. So that's another concern. We check that. So more or less, this is why we've launched due diligence as the service. And I think it will get traction in time, just like GoDaddy implemented Majestic Trust Flow and Citation Flow and referring domains and all the SEO data for their domain in auctions, because 5 years ago there would no one would care. Now they do care about the SEO stuff, and as they started to pay more attention to SEO, now they're going to start to pay more attention to historical abuse and just aggressive repurposing. So that's my 2 cents on it. Really nothing else to add.
Thank you. I just kept thinking and realized that I've never asked anyone throughout my past over 2 years here at Odys. I've never asked anyone how much time do they spend when they're trying to find and check and vet an expired domain and make sure it's okay, and if they do that at all. So I know, Chris, you and SirLinksalot are definitely doing your vetting part. As a company, I don't know if you do it yourself. Patrick, I don't know if you have any experience with expired domains, so I would like to get your perspectives on that.
Well, yeah, I think.
So,
oh, sorry.
Oh no, you got it, Chris. All you, because I've never really used expired domains.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm actually not the big domain guy at SirLinksalot. That would be more Nick, my partner. He's definitely comes from more of the PBN and domains background. He had a company before SirLinksalot called Freedom Links, where they were a PBN links company. So he's definitely more the domain guy. But yeah, I guess first of all, I'll just say that I think offering due diligence as a service is actually a good idea, because I think actually buying domains and understanding what you're doing might be the single hardest skill that an SEO can do. I can't think of anything that's actually harder, where you need to check into more things and say, well, maybe that spam doesn't matter, or maybe that anchor text doesn't matter because it's coming from Web 2.0. So there's so many there's so many things that like you could just say that a normal person might pass on a domain where I might be like, well, hey, that domain's golden, right? And so I think offering it, since you already have the systems in place, you're already doing it and stuff, then being able to offer that as a service is a pretty cool idea. But yeah, domains in general, kind of a tough thing to do, which I guess why Odys is successful, and why we can make money selling domains as well. But you can definitely get faster at it as well. When you really know what you're looking at, you're going in, you're checking who is, you're checking Wayback Machine, you're looking at their backlinks, sorting, seeing what kind of good links they have, seeing how much spam, what their anchor text ratios look like. I feel like you can do it actually like quite quickly, but it still takes a lot of time, like actually finding like a good one, right? That's not being like bidded on like crazy. So it's definitely a little bit of a difficult task.
So basically, Patrick?
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like a great service. Definitely something people ignore too much, which is like, companies all the time are buying domains and not thinking about SEO or their history. I've never purchased or I've never built on an expired domain. Always something that I've wanted to experiment with, but I haven't done it. But from a link building perspective, since I've done that for so long, I know how to vet a domain. So I use like link research tools, use Majestic, all that kind of stuff, and dig into the profile. But yeah, I need to, that's a test I want to run. So I got to hit up ODYS.
It might not necessarily. It might look, guys. It might not necessarily be an expired domains. It's just domains with history. Just domains that have been around for a while, aged. Like it can be even a website. So you just pay attention to the domain side part of a website more, because there can be like lots of things that can happen. How about negative SEO? Like if you're in certain niches, like most likely you will get negative SEO in time. So those are things that do matter, especially when you're selling or buying a site. That type of due diligence is really important. By the way, we might want to address that with Greg from Empire Flippers. I bet they do that, but maybe not that deep as we would. So we might want to check with them as well, because we're more interested in working with bigger companies like corporations, domain investors, registrars, domain brokers, people who actually work directly with clients. And just one of the due diligences they do would be this specific like domain side. Look, it's clean on the domain side, or there is a problem on the domain side that didn't pass like the SEO test with links, like links look really shitty. So just warning the clients what they get into.
I also thought it was really interesting what you were saying, Alex, with the WISE example. What was it before? Like, what was it used as? But does it even really matter if someone's coming in with like a large brand and they're able to just like throw all their EAT at it essentially? And like I just it's an interesting like question. Like, does money and authority just like fix everything? The money, authority, and EAT, does it just like fix everything no matter like what the domain's history is? Because like how long can a domain stay ruined for, or is it just like whoever gets it is the right person, they can bring it back to life? Whereas if you're just put some affiliate marketer buys wise.com, and maybe they don't have as good of a time kind of trying to use it for their advantage, right?
It really depends how much money and EAT and authority you have. So obviously, I think that right now, like the bigger you are, the more you can get away with, even like with repurposed sites or domains that have been used for completely a different topic, niche, or whatever. But in time, that might not be the case. Also, not everyone has the hundreds of millions or billions a big corporation does, so they cannot throw all that marketing and EAT and new links coming in. So imagine a startup. They might have like a couple 100,000 as seed money or $1 million. They might not spend it all on marketing to get new links. And in which case, what if they assume that programmatic SEO would be a thing and they'll be able to create multiple pages and get them indexed, and maybe they're just providing an alternative to wise.com. Now they have no chance because Google would limit them. They would get to bring them down because, look, you're working with a previously abused domain. So in some of the cases, they might not even know that the domain changed hands, because everything is privacy protected these days, especially in the EU. Like Google would breach a law if they would try to figure out if the domain changed hands or not.
Yeah. And speaking of brand and money, I wonder what was there on X.com before Musk purchased it for Twitter. Yeah,
Go check
'cause-
Wayback Machine.
No, it was his
Really? Yeah,
online,
let's.
it was his online bank. So they merged with PayPal. So he had an idea of
Huh.
launching an online bank on X.com back in the days, and he kind of bought the domain. And then they merged with PayPal. So they kind of merged the company, the technology, and everything. And part of the merger, all their technology and banking systems and contracts and agreements, everything they had moved to PayPal, and he just kept the domain. So it's clean.
Uh-huh.
I've performed
Yeah.
due diligence on this one.
I think I actually read about or listened about that somewhere. He wanted to create like an all-in-one app, kind of like China's like WeChat, that handled like
Yep.
payments, like social media, like everything, like all in one. Yeah.
So he wanted to create some kind of authoritarian thing.
Yeah, Elon controls everything.
Yeah. He wants to rule the world. That's okay.
Yeah, that's. I mean, listening to you guys, I couldn't stop myself from drawing parallels between all things going on with like, either, let's say, new websites or websites not built on expired or aged domains, or sites built on aged domains, and like physical property, apartments. So I'm just coming from a background of dealing with the apartment I own, I live in, and like it's an old building. It's been built in the 60s. You know, it's like it's a Soviet building, and well, it's been doing well. It had old doors and stuff like that, like old electricity circuits. And lately, I've started experiencing issues. Like I've been. I had to call the electrician several times over the past month, because I've had issues with the electric sockets. Then yesterday I had interior doors changed, replaced to the new ones, you know. And it's just like there's this great place in a great part of the city, but it requires so much work to be done in it to make it like an even better place. Like, you know,
in domaining terms, you need to rebrand. You need to rebrand urgently.
Yes, sort of, yeah. Like fill it up with the great content. Like get rid of the bad content. Like fix the links. Let's say like
Yeah,
stuff
you're gonna
like
have to
that.
301 your old apartment to a new one, in a better location.
You have to flip it, man.
Yeah, and speaking of the Google Core update, since we've started, since this is a Google Core update psychotherapy session, it's just I kind of like get a perspective of from both sides, you know, from the SEO. From the SEO side of things, talking to guys like you, and from user side of things, like being one myself, not being an SEO, you know. And even though there's some uproar because of the latest update, just as always, let's be fair. From what I see, especially with this update, is that they're really trying to double down and leverage on the actual brands, and basically push digital marketers towards like actually building brands and become and not just spit out some generic AI content and whatever it is, and just work on the shit they do and just do it good, and to actually like provide users with helpful content. Yeah, like helpful content update, like it's written in there, right? So to wrap things up, I mean, what do you expect from the industry? I don't know. Probably the industry. What is going to look like in the next 6 months, let's say, before the next update, or whenever they'll roll it out.
I guess I'll go first. So I think SEOs still have like a massive advantage over Google right now. I think SEOs are beating Google's like ass into the ground, and we're like kind of messing up the internet, like that one article said that I disagreed with in the beginning, but like it's gotten kind of crazy. And I think Google right now is just like flipping switches and freaking out and trying to just throw anything they can at the wall and see like what they can do to fight back against it. Because I think people in our industry, or even us, I don't know how you want to say it, but I think we're essentially ruining their product a bit because we have too big of an advantage with AI. So, I think Google's like basically going to war with us at this point. But I still think we have an extreme advantage, and I don't see AI content going anywhere. I don't see domains going anywhere. I don't see any of this stuff kind of going anywhere. It's just going to be a cat and mouse game for a long time. And I see SEOs having the advantage for a long time. What I'm worried about though is that our advantage will be so great that people in general, the masses, normal people, will stop trusting text-based search as much, and it'll fast forward the pivot towards video, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, which is much more harder to fake, especially at scale, than text-based content. So I expect Google to continue to clean things up, but I think they have a really hard job ahead of them. And I think the more like gray hat, black hat types will continue to evolve. And I think there's a lot of room left to evolve, because this was like the first like shots fired against like the first real shots fired against like AI content. And the black hats, the gray hats have a lot of things they can do to keep going and playing this game. So yeah,
I completely agree. Yeah, Chris, that was a great answer. 100%. Yeah, I think Google has a lot to work on, and I do think they're somewhat in a panic mode with hitting like Julian Goldie, Jackie Chow. They're doing scare tactics. So far, they've only really hit like pretty spammy websites without any brand and with mass AI content. So, and even that, they're not doing well, because most people I know, their websites are fine. Even if they were spammy, right? Most people are pretty good so far. And so far, it doesn't seem like they have a great grasp on AI content. Not to mention that it's so difficult to actually defeat SEOs with the power of AI. I mean, you can have your own personal AI that you make in-house. It's like, how are they going to detect that? Like if you really go that far, like it's going to be game of cat and mouse, like you said. I'm here for it though. I'm interested.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting time. Like maybe the most I haven't been an SEO like too long, like some of the guys, but I guess we're kind of going on 10 years at this point. And this is definitely the most interesting time I've been a part of SEO. So, I'm definitely binging a little bit more like YouTube content and Twitter content than I used to, and it's wasting more of my time, but it's just a really interesting time. So it's a lot of fun, honestly.
I've been thinking about it. And I wrote down 2 ideas based on what you guys said. The first one is, do we actually realize that SEOs as a community, like as a trend, as a culture, actually help Google create better search results? And you might not agree with me, but those who've been in the game in the entire online digital marketing SEO, because, organic traffic and so on, world, know how bad the search results were like 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, the search results were shit. 15 years ago, they were even worse. These days, they're not the best, but they're definitely much better than 10, 15 years ago. So SEOs, by putting shit out there sometimes, some put good stuff, some put shit, they actually help improve the system. And it's part of the game. So this is how it works. And it's a great time to be alive and to test, and experiment with all this technology for sure. And the second thesis and kind of idea that I wrote down is that Google will always protect their reputation, regardless of what it takes. They're the 500-pound gorilla, and they will protect their reputation. So, and I won't go as further away than our expertise, which is domains. So let's take their positioning on age domains, repurposing or spam, which we as a company stand for. By the way, we're against bad stuff happening to these domains. So when they announced the expired domains abuse thing, I've pinged Colin from SEO Domains, because we do check once in a while. And I said, what do you think about it? And he said, this is a Koch House triggered event. And those who are not familiar with what Koch House is, so I think last year, two guys, I think Pakistani guys, very good SEOs, what they did is they actually randomly bought, not randomly, part of their whatever strategy, they bought a domain of GoDaddy auction. And it was Koch beach-house.com. It was the former domain of a resort somewhere in US. And they mass posted for almost 2 months, if I'm not mistaken, around 6,000 posts a day. And that was scraped Amazon reviews. And they made, I think, Matt Diggity interviewed them, and they made $800,000. So basically $1 million in 2 months. Now, there's no problem with that. It's sad, because if that was a sort of like test for Google to improve, that's fine. But when you go public with these things and say, well, we've manipulated Google to make $1 million in 2 months, and now imagine how many wannabes actually want to repeat that. And I wouldn't mind $1 million in 2 months. Maybe I wouldn't do it, but so many people would actually try to replicate the success and try to scrape Amazon and do it again. So Google cannot just be on standby and say, well, no, that's fine because our algorithm is perfect. Their algorithm might not be perfect, but they will go after these guys. Like, I'm glad they managed to cash out, but they will have they'll express their position, that they will have something to say about it. So Colin said, this is a Koch House triggered event. Like, they went public with this, and Google has to somehow react to it, reply. So I don't think that we're not seeing that when legitimate businesses buy legitimately expired domains, or even domains that have never expired, or even sites and merge with them, that is not causing any issue as long as you're legitimate businesses. But for Koch House type of events, which was published on, which Matt Diggity interviewed them, it went viral on in the SEO community. It got published on SEO Roundtable as a blog. So there was quite a fuss about it. So they will go after, these people and, preaching this stuff and actually, building a name on it. So, I mean, they're the 500-kilogram gorilla. Don't forget that, or pounds gorilla. They're big. They can do a lot of nasty stuff.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. That was a great chat, guys. One last thing. Any events you're attending in the following several months where people could come and greet you, meet you, talk to you?
Yeah, Vietnam SEO Mastery Summit. So I'll be seeing you guys out there.
Yep.
Are you guys sponsoring the event?
Yeah, we are.
Cool. We're sponsoring as well. We're doing like a really small one though. I think we just got something like the goodie bag or something about a little link juice stickers.
No
but yeah,
worries.
we're proud to be part of the circus this year. We went last year. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, if anyone's going to be around Southeast Asia, Vietnam, what's it? April 7th starting, something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see y'all out there. I'm gonna have a broken foot, so come buy me a beer. Yeah.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, I'll be in Vietnam as well. So excited to see you guys.
Yeah,
Cool,
so
man.
we'll,
Yeah, see you there.
we'll
about
meet
it.
in
Yeah, we'll meet you there, as Alex was starting to say.
Yeah, we'll definitely meet there, and we're doing one in Warsaw in a week or two, I think.
Kulturalnie SEO.
Yeah, with Robert Nichol and the entire Polish SEO crew. Shout outs to them. And we're also doing SEO Mastery Summit in Saigon in Vietnam, and we're also doing SEO Estonia in June. And we're one of the main sponsors there. Highly recommended event by Carl Rufer, Carl Kangar. Highly recommended. If you guys, I didn't expect the first one to be as good as it was, and I think the second one would even be bigger. Like the first one was around 300. I think this one could be around 500 attendees. So it might be big. And then obviously, most likely by the end of the year, Chiang Mai, if everything goes as planned. So I look forward to meeting everyone. And this is like an invitation to SEO Estonia. If you'll be in Tallinn, most likely Kyle and the team going to pull off a really good event.
Yeah. I heard good things about Estonia. Yeah, for the last one, it sounded really good.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to make it out
the
there.
first one. It was the first one and the last time at this point.
Yeah, me and Nick would like to make it both to Estonia and to Roberts out in Poland, but unfortunately we can't do it this year. But yeah, you guys are gonna have to give us a report over in Vietnam.
We certainly will, and we'll buy you a beer as well.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Stay tuned and see you here next week.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye bye.
Cheers.